All right, Moose, do the Packers have any chance to tread water while Rodgers is out? And I'm going to go ahead and say treading water is 500 at best.
Yeah, I don't see it because
you mean
the supporting
been ready for this your whole life?
Yeah, right. Everybody is. Everybody's waiting for that opportunity their whole life. But what do they have around Brett Hundley? Does he have enough around him to do this? The great thing about Rodgers is Rodgers can do these things without a lot of people around. He's very similar to Tom Brady in that aspect. You know, Tom is able to lift a team and carry a team. You know, Aaron is able to lift a team and carry a team. So I'm not sure the running game against Dallas looked good. Can they sustain that? You know, the issues on defense, you just need so many pieces of the puzzle now with a guy of his caliber out of the lineup for an extended period of time. I'm just not sure that this team is going to be able to carry that.
Moose, how many years you played with Emmett?
10.
How many years was he hurt? How many games was he hurt?
Yeah, not many.
Right?
Maybe with the shoulder injury in the playoff game, he came back and played. I don't really remember him ever missing.
Who was the backup?
Lots of guys.
and the reason why?
Durability. And he never got enough credit for that. You know, you don't become the NFL's all-time leading rusher without durability.
It has a lot to do with talent. So regardless of what the coach says, regardless of Moose and that great offensive line, they realize, now I understand McCarthy because the whole team is listening to him. All right? So you don't want to act as if, like everyone else, as if you're in a panic. But there is a panic when you lose a great player because there is no replacement, because they do things that the coach doesn't even have planned. When you call plays for Aaron Rodgers, you don't expect him to read the defensive end, that he's a little pinched inside and third down. I'm going to spin outside of him, and then I'm either run or throw the football. Like, you don't have those type of intangibles that great players provide for your team. So it's a matter of how do we survive, all right? It's not the next guy up because the next guy is not the next guy. He's not Aaron Rodgers. So how do we develop a plan to be able to move the football or throw the football? So you're like, okay, Cris, what is it? No, they're screwed.
No.
Because they don't have enough talent around their offense to support a backup player. They don't have a running game. Instability on the offensive line. All right, they came into the game, oh, man, left tackle's going to be in, right tackle. They end up getting hurt in the game again. So this is not only an Aaron Rodgers thing. It's not only a superstar. How do you replace a superstar? They're not really talented. And the front office has not done a great job of having enough marquee players that if the quarterback was to get injured, that they could stay in the playoff hunt.
I understand that people's initial reaction is going to be any team that loses its star quarterback is going to struggle mightily. And that is true. And that is fair. And for most teams, losing your quarterback for 6, 8, 10 weeks, maybe the season, that is a season ender. But for most teams, it is not. What you are going to see with Green Bay is a team that absolutely could have won the Super Bowl to a team that will be lucky to win any game they win. And that is because, A, Aaron Rodgers' individual greatness, but B, what you're speaking to, CC, which is, I believe, and I said this before the season, this is categorical mismanagement when you have a player this special. That you have a player this special that almost instantly, when he became your starting quarterback, within 3 years, you win a Super Bowl. The following year, you're 15-1. And I understand they got bounced in the first round of their first playoff game that year, but that was a dynamic team. That should not have been the peak of the mountain. They shouldn't have, at no point in Dallas's run would people have been like, hey, 10 years, they got to 1 Super Bowl with that amazing talent, with all those guys. That's successful. Just like, and I understand it might seem unfair, because a lot of guys have had great careers and never made a Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl. But when you have a quarterback this special, and you know what I can compare it to? And you guys can correct me if I'm getting it wrong. Similarly with what happened with the Dolphins with Dan Marino. How do you have a quarterback that good for that long? You make a Super Bowl almost instantly. What was it, year 2? And you never return. At least with Peyton, people said the same thing about Peyton in Indy. You know, he only won 1 Super Bowl. They made 2, won 1. But as you mentioned during the break, at least those teams were 14-2. 13-3. They were having great regular seasons and then either bad luck or bad play in the 1-game sample size of postseasons. The Packers are 10-6, 11-5. maybe 12-4. What were they? 9-6-1 or 8-7-1 the year Rodgers got hurt. Like I don't think they can even tread water, which is an indictment on the people that have put the team together.
Well, also the Marino thing, it was a different era. You're also looking at, there's 5 Hall of Fame quarterbacks playing there. Mm-hmm. So you had Montana, you had Elway, you had Kelly, you had Warren Moon. You had a bunch of studs, that were playing then. But the overall makeup of the team, Dan didn't have a running game. Dan didn't have a great defense. Those comparisons are true. So have we seen this in history? Yes. But for me, Green Bay and the organization, they have failed Aaron Rodgers by not putting those things in place. But also, they have failed from managing their personnel. All those defensive players that they've drafted, Don Capers and that defensive staff, they haven't developed them. Because at some point, the defense should be able to carry them for a little bit, even if Aaron wasn't playing at the level he's playing at for over a 2 to 3 game stretch.
And the dynamic they'll spin, they'll go back to that last Super Bowl team that they had, and they'll say, hey, we had the most players on IR during that season, and we still won the Super Bowl. Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers wasn't one of those guys on IR that year. So it's going to be very difficult for these guys moving forward.
I think they also had, I also think they had a top 15 defense when they did win the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, even though they had all those injuries.
We are 100% positive Hundley's not the guy for this team. I mean, there were a lot of people that thought Prescott was absolutely never going to be the guy for the Cowboys. And there were people who thought that, we can go through all the backups. Like, is there a chance that they see something in Hundley and kept him around that we hadn't? You're going to say no.
Did you see anything? All right. Did you see anything from his press conference? Did he look like a world-class leader to you?
You can't say that. But...
Well, Jenna, let me say this, because I haven't seen Brett Hundley play really since UCLA, and I actually liked him at UCLA. If Brett Hundley right now came in and was the 15th best quarterback in football, right at league average, if that were the case, Packers still are finished. Because with average quarterback play, this roster's not good enough. So that's why I can write him. Like, even if Hundley were the 15th best quarterback in football, people would be like, wow, like they got a great backup. It's still not going to be good enough.
If they were playing in a climate-controlled stadium, I might have a more optimistic view. But there's only a few quarterbacks who can be the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Not only because the weather, but your hand size and how you throw the ball. You have to have a huge hand, which Brett Favre does. Aaron, he don't have a huge hand, but he has a magical arm. So the conditions don't affect his throw. So that's just another part of the story. If you're going to be a quarterback in Green Bay, man, you have to play in some of the worst conditions that we've ever seen people play in. Now, can he do that? Now, that I don't think so.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.